Jana, this morning. Welcome
Hello.
to our little session today. This morning, I saw on TV that Australia has begun, lessening the lockdown, and you saw these people diving into a Bondi beach. I mean, hordes of them
Yeah.
on their surfboards, and how they think that the waves are going to be able to separate them. I do not know. It just seemed mad to me that they've been given this opportunity and they're just abusing it, really.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I know what you mean, and there's actually basically two kinds of people. The people who want this to end now, and the people who are really worried and scared, and they want this to go on for a couple more months or a few more months or till the end of the year or whatever. Um, and there's supportive evidence for both. I think there's more supportive evidence for cutting it short, but it really depends. And I understand that people want to get back to normal because this is a very long time, and in other countries we're constantly threatened it's going to take a very long time. So it's understandable. We are wired to that behavior. There's nothing abnormal about it. Cautious would be good, but you cannot force people. There's nothing you can do. You cannot force people to do something. We have free wills.
But some people are just silly, aren't they? They also showed you people elsewhere on beaches, far too close to each other. I mean, it's just crazy. Really, once the lockdown is lessened, people have got to be careful, haven't they?
Yes, absolutely. I think you still need to maintain the standards of hygiene. You need to be careful, about meeting too many people, going to places where there's too many people, of course, but you sort of need to go back to normal, because if you don't, you're going to create a block. You're going to create a psychological block, which could actually stay with you temporarily, or it could stay with you for a very long time, and that's never a good thing. So I can just imagine that practices of psychiatrists, psychotherapists, and psychologists and coaches will be full after all this, because people will create lots of psychological blocks. It's inevitable.
Sadly, my aunt died a month before the lockdown, and I've been thinking of her a lot, and how fortunately, although I was away, I was able to rally my family, and they were able to sit with her, hold her hand, play nice music to her. I was able to talk to her on Skype. But unfortunately, a lot of people are dying, and the staff have to wear gloves. There's no human no contact, no skin contact, and that is causing a lot of upset. People are beginning to think now grief is setting in all round. People, the carers, people who've lost loved ones. Grief is going to be a big thing, isn't it?
Absolutely, on many levels. And there are people who feel grief, and in some countries they're suing the government for the lockdown because they couldn't get to their loved ones and spend the last hours with them. There's going to be lots of cases when people are going to sue government because they didn't get the medical support they were supposed to under normal circumstances. It's all around really quite an unpleasant situation, and it's, in some families, I'm sure it's absolutely awful, and they will need to see therapists to get through all of that, without a doubt.
And then, of course, at the beginning, everybody's praising the government for what they're doing. Now it's finding fault. So there's always going to be the blame game.
The thing is,
and that will happen. So really, we shouldn't be concentrating on the blame game, should we? We should be actually looking to the future and how to get over it.
Absolutely. It's so exhausting to your system and to your immune system to keep complaining and thinking, why didn't they do this? Why did they do that? It should have been done earlier, and they shouldn't have done this at all. And go on about it all day. I see some people, this is all they do. They're gonna be so unhappy, unhealthy, miserable. They're going to spread bad, negative mood
There's always
around.
things people could have done better in hindsight, you know, if they'd known it was going to be so bad. And yes, undoubtedly, I expect they're going to find out that preparations could have been made better, and we were short of a lot of the vital things. But actually, when things got really bad, the government did get moving. So, you know, and we went into lockdown. Whether we should have gone in earlier or not, that is obviously is going to be inquiries. But really, businesses, what they want to know at the moment is, how can we get back to normal? What measures do we need to do? How can we distance our staff? How can we make them safe and get on with our business? That's really what they're wanting to do, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's the right kind of thinking. Stop thinking what could have been, should have, would have. Never helps. It's just very negative. It doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't get you any good results. Forget about it. Ignore the situation. You will be healthier. Your immune system will thank you. You will get better results. So why wouldn't you? And focus on what can you do. Don't focus on what you can't do. Focus on what you can do to get out of it successfully and in a sane way, and helping others, because that's what's
Yeah.
going to get you back on your feet.
So if you're a manager, say you've got an office, you've got to start thinking about the plan. What's the office layout going to be? Because for so long we've been used
Interesting,
to,
isn't it?
we've been used to the sharing, hot desking. That's been a big thing. I think hot desking is going to go out of the window, because I wouldn't want to use a desk used by somebody else. You know,
Not nowadays.
I want to know I've got my own little space. I'm distant from someone else.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, the place where you go to make the coffee and stuff, you've got to keep your distance. There's going to be all kinds of health and safety rules, aren't there? Health and safety is going to go mad, I think.
Yeah, I think that's going to be, you know, we are past GDPR, so we made lots of hoo-ha about GDPR and lots of money. Now we're going to be doing lots of hoo-ha and making lots of money on health and safety. There's always something to get money out of our
Actually,
pockets.
if you're in the health and safety environment, I've just thought, if you're working in that environment, there's lots of work for you in the near future.
Yeah, I'm almost tempted to say, if you don't know what to do with your job situation, set up a health and safety business, but because that's gonna go well for a while.
It certainly is, or office desking.
Oh God,
new ways of doing it.
Would you ever think about, I have to set up the office in a way that people cannot see each other and, you know, be next to each other? That sounds like science fiction, isn't it?
I mean, you know, I've been used to somebody sitting next to me, somebody sitting opposite me, somebody sitting next to me on my left. You know, that won't do, will it?
Yeah, exactly. And all the dinner parties and all the networking events and everything, you know, that's going to be fun. Have you seen the video made by a Dutch waitress when they have 1/2 meter? Most people have 2, but they have 1/2 meter, and they're going to be able to serve customers from 1/2 meter away. So she you know, made 1/2 meter on the ground, and then she tried to serve them, and she basically threw everything into the air to them. And how on earth do you want to serve customers when you can get to them?
Well, you know what's probably going to come in. You know, Yo Sushi, where the food comes on a conveyor belt round and round. Maybe there's going to be more of that with somebody serving in the middle or something.
Yeah, so another new business, make little sushi trains. There's going to be huge demand for those now.
Well, it looks like this morning we've already come up with some ideas then, where people have got to start changing their thinking, not stop dwelling on the past, not moaning about their lot, but actually planning for the future.
That's the best you can do. That's the only thing you can do, because you cannot change government, you cannot change parliament, you cannot change law. You can that's out of your control. But 95% of your life is in your control. So think ahead. Think, what can I do to get out of it? What can I do to make more money? What will be necessary? What will people need after the crisis I could make a living of? You know, what can I do? Just take can't out of your vocabulary and just focus on I can. And you're always going to be a winner.
Okay, well, I think that's a good point to pause for today. We're going to be a winner. We're going to pick a different subject for tomorrow. Maybe we might be joined by someone else tomorrow.
That would be nice.
We wouldn't mind some people giving us their ideas, would we? We want that too.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll make it a lot of fun because, yeah, I think we need to involve people.
We do indeed. Well, good to speak to you again this morning.
Lovely seeing you.
So I'll say goodbye.